Yes.
See what
Roll call, Aiken,
Yes.
or no, Dolphin,
Yes.
Reno,
Yes.
Vargas, we have quorum. All right, I read the red, right, or? Okay. There has been a request to amend the agenda to move the activities update to July 15th meeting and to remove the hire of Christine Roman until further information is obtained. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
All right. At this time, we will, community members can make public comments to the board. Please be aware that the board cannot comment on anything that is said during this time. This is the only time in the agenda reserved for open comment. Please limit your comment to 4 minutes. There seems to be no public comments. All right, we'll move on to fundraisers, boys and girls golf, youth golf camp. Any information on that?
I don't have any additional information besides what's on there.
Okay. Sounds good. Make a motion to approve.
On the commission.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Overnight.
I didn't see any overnight trips in the packet.
All right, then we're on to middle school report. On to Vicky. Vicky has the floor.
Woo! You have the.
Yeah.
I brought an artifact. Not fancy. Okay, this is our crew, and this is
Oh,
everybody, and that was Halloween this year, so that's all the team. Goal number one, this is, multi-tiered system, which is universal. We have tier one universal, we have tier two, and I'll get back to that as we, go on. This is our building level team. So they're involved in meeting with, this is the BLT as we call it. And then there's 3 or 4 that attend the DLT meetings, which is district level team meetings, and represent the middle school at those. So that's our first goal, and that's a multi-tiered system. Go ahead. And before we even began that, we created a mission statement as to what the multi-tiered system was going to do for the middle school. So it deals with the evidence, research-based support, and then the ongoing collaboration involving the teachers, admin, families, communities, and so on. This is our beginning of our, we decided we wanted to make it circular since it really does just go around, and students can be on tier 1 and tier 2. They can be on tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. It depends on their needs. And so we're just in the process of creating this, and with every student needs every year, they change. So this is a document that will change every year according to what we need. Okay, thanks, Karen. Goal 2 is attendance monitoring. And this is a district goal as well. And so our average daily attendance at the middle school is 94%. We had 84 students that had 10 or more absences. Out of the 84, 13 had over 20. Now, this is where we go back into the MTSS. So I put tier 1. We make daily phone calls to all families during the school day for anyone that's absent or tardy, to make sure that families are aware they are not at school or they keep coming late. And, is there a reason? Tier 2, we have letters that go home for students reaching 6, 10, and 15 or more absences. We have a check-in, check-out system for those that are habitual, getting there late, or they just have a hard time getting to school. And that could be with a counselor, it could be with me, it could be with whoever they feel comfortable with. Period 1 academic support in grades 6 through 8. We have rooms and teachers where they can go and get help with their work if that's the cause of them, coming late, trying to do their homework or don't understand it, things like that. And then tier 3, we schedule family meetings. They might be put on a contract. We notify Muscatine County attorney, alternative type of a schedule, or a referral. Maybe they need, we have a tanager therapist in the building, and next year she will be there full time. So thank you. She's fabulous and she does a great job. She's even holding therapy during the summer. Our goal 3, of course, increasing achievement. In this test, the Scholastic Reading Inventory, and I know you get thrown all these tests, but this one is a comprehension reading test. We give it 3 times a year, and here we just have fall and spring. It's on Lexiles. So like for 5th grade, we want the students between 700 and 1,000 Lexile points. So if they're above, they're called advanced. If they're below 700, it's either basic or below basic. Below basic is maybe kind of the newcomers that don't know English very well. And so they're scoring at a BR maybe. So anytime they make growth, it's wonderful. So in fall, we want to see the advanced and proficient numbers go up and the basic and the below basic go down. And so in 5th grade, as you can see, the below basic went down, the basic went down, the proficient stayed the same. So we have some below basic that may have gone to basic and basic gone to proficient, or proficient went to advanced, because you can see advanced went from 8% to 17%. So they're making progress. In 6th grade, this, we're just looking, so 800 to 1050 Lexile. We have proficient went up to 49% from 37, advanced went from 15 to 23, and those below basic and basic went down considerably. They made great growth, and this is comprehension, it's computer-based, and it's not timed. So this measures comprehension, how well they're acknowledging what's going on in the story. And then 7th grade, here's their Lexile, 850 to 1100. And here we have proficient stayed the same, but basic went down, below basic stayed the same, and the advanced went up. And I will tell you, with 7th grade, we had 5 newcomers. As I think the high school had some and elementary did too, but 5 newcomers, hardly any English. And they are making, even if they are in the below basic level, it's okay. They made growth. So, and grade 8, by the time they get to 8th grade by spring, they're done with testing. Below basic, basic went down, proficient stayed the same, and advanced went up a couple. Sometimes you get the students that are excelling too, which they get up to a certain point, so they may be past 1150. And so as they get up there in the advanced level, it's hard for them to grow as much as the people from the basic to the proficient. So in 8th grade, they were done. Okay, thank you. Okay, fast, real fast. This is fluency. And the students read the same passages each year. So the 5th grade, they read the same passages in fall, winter, and spring. And so we just have fall to spring growth here. Oh, it's just twice, sorry. SRI is 3 times. So these are the Lexiles, again, the percentages, I should say, in the categories. So we want to see the students in the 30 to 85% above. Fall to spring, 5th grade, 16% of the students that were in that group from 0 to 19.9, 16% of them made progress. Now, the fluency benchmark changes from fall to spring because they figure they should be, you know, the target is up here a little bit higher, but this is just fluency. So it's how fast the students can read. And they also look for how they stop at sentences and things like that, but it's not comprehension at all. It's just fluency. So 30 to 84.99 in 5th grade, 58% of the students made progress. And as you get up into the upper levels, 10% made that. And then grade 6, we had 0 to 19. So this is fluency. So 23% of the students made progress. Next one, 8%. 30 to 84 again, 59%, and the 85% and above, 9%. So they did a great job. Every student, almost every student in both 5th and 6th made progress. And that's what we like to see. This is the ELPA, so all ESL students take this test. It is to see how well they are learning English. So it's assessed in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And to exit, those students have to get 4 or 5 on all those tests. And it's hard to do. But this year we've had the most we've had in a long time. So in grade 5, there were 37 students, 2 exited. Awesome. Grade 6, 17 students, we had 1 exit. 7th grade, 24, and we had 3 exit. So awesome job. Awesome job by the students and the teachers. And then grade 8, we had 24 and 0 exited. But that is an incredible feat. This is writing, and what we did was Kelsey Garcia, instructional coach, Melody Russell, instructional coach who retired, and myself, we graded these assessments. And what you do is you give the students a probe. So like 5th grade was, what would be your ideal pet? So they had to put their topic sentence, give some evidence, and give a concluding sentence. And the last one, the 8th graders did was, what was your most challenging, it could be personal or at school, that moment you had to deal with. So that was very interesting too. So grade 5, our goal was conventions. After the first probe, we looked at and we scored them all. And it's like, ooh, they're not using punctuation. The 5th graders we had right, the 6th graders we had right, 7th and 8th, they used their Chromebooks. And we're like, okay, that's going to be our goal. So as you can see, if you look at conventions, it did increase. And they did pretty well on the spring assessment. The topic, the claim sentence, in the very beginning, you can tell 5th grade got a little off in the spring, but not much. And the 2 beside all those is there were 2 points for each criteria. So a possibility of 8. So support and evidence, 5th grade did awesome. And 6th grade, 7th grade stayed about the same. 8th grade went down a little bit. Organization and focus. They all did pretty well. A couple went down just a tad, not much. And then conventions, they all went up. So that was our emphasis. And then at the end, the total points and to, 8 possible. So fall to spring, most of them made some gain or stayed about the same. But it's really fun to get back and read some of the stories. Being elementary based, I enjoy it. Okay, this one just real quick. Edify Assess, we give every year, 3 times a year again. This is the difference between fall, mid-year, and spring. It is really end of the year test. So in the beginning of the year when we give it in the fall, we don't expect the students to know all of it. What we can do is go back into these results and say, okay, now, do we need to go back and reteach this concept, because coming up, they're going to learn this, but they need this skill. So if we look at that, what we want to see is the peach or the pink colors decrease, the blue, the green increase. So this is 5th grade, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, we started with 4% meets. Spring, we had 11% and 38% were approaching, which is very good. And we even had some exceeds. And then 6th grade, 77% in the fall were below. And look at how that pink bar decreases. The green is larger and the blue is larger. 7th grade, this is Unreal what happened in the spring from the fall. 12% advanced, 19% meets, from what, 3% to 20? Yeah, they made great growth. And then 8th grade, as we said, testing was out the window. But yeah, but at least it is decreasing. The pink and the green and the blue are increasing. Okay. This is what this is. MTSS for academic and socially emotional. It's just not for academic. So what I put up here is just some of our examples of what we do. So tier 1 universal, that's for everybody. So grade level teams, counselor availability, accessibility to Infinite Campus for parents, kids, for us, PBIS, SRI, Edify Assess, communication with families and community organizations. Then we went into tier 2, and this is where this came in. We did a book study and we talked about the supports we needed. In tier 2 and tier 3, that's where we have to think of what we really need. So we talked about skill and will. What is the issue with this student? Is it skill? Do they need support skill-wise? Or is it will? Is it, I don't want to do this. I don't like reading. I don't like writing. What can we do about that? Or maybe there's an emotional issue with the will part. And so we have to sit down and decide maybe a tier 2. Maybe they need to be in a counseling group. Maybe they need to meet with a teacher after school for some help in math. Maybe they're put in a co-taught class because maybe they've been diagnosed with dyslexia, or they're new to the country and need that co-taught with the ESL teacher in the classroom. And then we went on to tier 3, which that's when we get into the, okay, maybe we asked Ms. Garcia to do an intervention where she meets with a student for 3 to 4 weeks on reading skills. And then we take that information and say, okay, do we go on to an initial special ed evaluation? Or maybe we say, hey, this person just got 100% on the 7th grade Edify Assess, and they're in 6th grade. And they haven't even had this. What are we gonna do? And it's when the whole team comes together and says, what do we do? What can we do? And so that's where all that comes into place. And I just wanted to, Sunhee Oberfeld will be our new art teacher, grades 5 through 8. Sunhee is a great artist, very into the ceramics. She has shown her things in Iowa City at art fairs. She does art classes at her home. And she's, I think, going to be a great addition. Annie is already there. Angie will be office staff. She's already started. She's doing a great job. Also, Kristen Evans will be at the middle school teaching 6th grade lit. She's transferring from the elementary. Rachel Waters was a long-term sub in World Cultures, and yay, she has her license and will be full-time. She's official now, so that's good. And then Madison Edwards will be back. They're moving back, and she will be part-time tag at the middle school and high school. And there's our retirees of the district, so yeah. Any questions? Or I know I went fast and all that stuff sometimes is foreign.
I just had so when you do those phone calls, is there a follow-up with texts and emails? Or do they do the text messaging at the middle school, or do parents do that?
We don't do the text messaging. We call.
They just call?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for students that are at that proficient level and there's the advanced, do they get referred to then tag, or is it?
Is that on the SRI?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
When we do, tag is identified by a number of different criteria. And so, but that's taken into consideration. When we identify tag students district-wide from grades 3 on up, SRI, ISAS, Logramos, ESL, the ELPA could be, the Edify, assess their grades, teacher recommend, it's like this whole long list. But I will tell you, we have one student, and I'm really, it's so cool, will be advancing to 8th grade. They just finished 6th grade, but we talked about advancing in the middle of 6th grade year. And we all talked, the family and the student, and we decided, well, they decided it was better not, but now they're ready to roll. And she's gonna do great. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's something they will look at. Yeah.
Yeah, then I didn't know if there'd be other classes or something for the more advanced, or if there's.
And we, Jackie and I have talked about that, about looking at middle school AP classes and,
something like
oh
that.
yeah, there's, as I said, it's individualized, so we have to look at what they need and then go from there. So, yeah. Anything else?
I guess I think that you've given us some good insight into what's behind the curtain, what you were doing, which is incredible. I don't even pretend to understand the detail of what you just shared. However, I think from the slides, it looks like it's a real team effort, because all the slides look like they came from different members of your team.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. It is a team effort. We have a great team.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. And then I'll see you on the Wednesday meetings. That's when you kind of bring that team together and kind of go through all this.
Yes, a lot of times. And when we meet in grade level teams every other week. So we don't do the formal PLC that they talk about, but we do look at data within the grade level teams, as well as during MTSS, the BLT time. So we look at a lot of data and we talk about what we can do to help the students, support them in any way, whether it be remediation or acceleration. Yeah.
A lot of acronyms.
I know, isn't it though? You should hear it some meetings, DLT, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, like, you explaining this to us, I mean, you have students, so you're probably like, hey, I know exactly what she's talking about.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But maybe not all parents do, and that's, I guess, how can we as a district kind of get this out to the community? This is what it looks like behind the curtains.
Right, no, I totally agree. I've been trying to, at the beginning of the year, like right before we take these tests, to just send out a little summary. Because I know a lot of people, I just kind of put it just very in layman's terms. It's like going to the doctor and they're talking to you in the medical terms and you're going, just tell me in layman's terms. So I've been trying to do that and just explain, like, the SRI is a comprehension test. It's computerized. We do it so many times a year and we look at growth, for Lexiles. And then Edify Assess we've been giving forever too, but yet, no, that's something I need to work on more to get out for the middle school as to what assessments we take and why we take them and what they are. Yeah.
I will say that the communication before the tests are being taken is it's very helpful. Like, hey, just so you know, they're gonna be going through 5 days of testing, like sleep, eat, like everything, because things get lax and maybe we're gonna stay out late for at something, like maybe this isn't the week to stay out late, like we need to get to bed. So that's all been very helpful.
Good. That's something I think we could always work on to increase, so, yeah.
Were there any concerns when, like, you brought in all the other grades, like 5th and 6th, and did parents start to ease about having everything and start running smoothly? Because it runs smoothly. I just wondered if it was like kind of bumpy at first, with some parents like worried about 5th grade coming.
Yep.
And then how did you
it
ease
was,
it?
but I think now I haven't heard of anything this last year. I mean, the first year, yes, because it wasn't done, all sorts of things, but we even started a mentoring program
Okay,
this year. The counselors, it's 5th and 8th graders.
okay.
So, we asked 5th grade teachers, who needs a buddy? Who, it can be for a number of reasons. And then, Mr. Hughes and his intern, who was just hired at the elementary, more or less trained the 8th graders that were chosen to be in this. And so they talked about confidentiality, they talked about different growth mindset, things like that. And so they were trained. So I think that really helps too. With that. Yeah.
See, now you added that. You didn't talk about that.
Oh, well.
Other acronyms.
Yeah, acronym, yeah, exactly.
No, it sounds like a lot of good things for them.
Yeah, I sure think so. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Want to use my card there?
All right, so now we're moved down to Jens's equity.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. Talk about the equity report here for our district. For the next slide then. So we kind of switched things up just a little bit from the past years. In the past, we had a kind of a big conjunction of people from all elementary, middle school, and high school. And I felt that sort of the meetings got sort of one-sided when we talked specifically about high school. And I really felt kind of within that meeting that some of our elementary and junior high teachers were like, I'm not really getting the lingo. So I switched up just a little bit this year, and I think I might move forward with this. So I'll explain how I kind of switched up. This year, I met with just the middle school and elementary ELC building administrators, and we kind of went through the state equity report and kind of offered up the idea that perhaps maybe this next year we're going to use the BLTs, as Vicki pointed out, to kind of look at their specific schools equity reports. I think then it probably provides a little bit more context that they know specifically what's going on. And so I'm excited for that process. And we did test it out with the high school because we did look at our data, and I kind of experiment with some different conversations and seeing how that worked. And I really liked how it worked. Again, like the high school BLT, although they don't mind looking at elementary data, it kind of doesn't necessarily apply to them specifically. So I'm excited to put that in place for next year, that the BLTs will be in charge of their building equity, and I'll meet with them throughout the year. So our general purpose is just to analyze district data and discrepancies among subgroups, including gender, race, English language learner, disability, socioeconomic status. And kind of we looked at the 23-24 equity report from the Department of Education. I personally get a little bit, the full data we get from 22-23. And so to examine that data is a little bit frustrating because it's already been a year and we've already gone through this stuff. So that's again what I'm looking at when we kind of come back in the fall and really examine our 23-24 course data, because we don't have access to that yet. So in July 1st, we'll get access to the more how the courses were aligned, who enrolled in courses, then we can make immediate impact in the next school year and kind of see where we're maybe missing some students that need to be involved. Looked at high school grade data and then high school extracurricular involvement. So although the equity report from the state is very good, I kind of developed my own databases to sort of examine our particular data even further, which maybe clicked on some of those links and kind of looked at some of those. So for the most part, here's kind of general enrollment data for our group. And this is what I use as the baseline. So as you notice, our district is 60.28% Hispanic and 38.94 white. So what I'm looking for is if something is 10% above that or 10% below that, or where there's discrepancy there. So one area that I found, again, this is from our equity report from kind of last time. It's changed a little bit, but our special education enrollment is more male oriented, not too far off our, I mean, our males are 48.22, so it's 68. That's a little bit of a discrepancy in the amount of males in our special education program. So we're looking at that with our AEA. We're also going to review as an admin team where we're seeing that discrepancy at. Also tag enrollment, and Vicki does an excellent job with the tag program and kind of looking at how we just discussed kind of tag enrollment was 64% white in 21-22. Now it's at 57%. So that's kind of balanced itself out, which is really great. We're still seeing a little bit of discrepancy in the low SES. But again, I know Vicki does a fantastic job making sure testing and identifying those students, but also just something that statistic to keep in mind when reviewing things like that. So next slide. Activities involvement. I know Adam's going to be doing a report on activities a little bit more thoroughly, but we did see And I personally, Deb does a great job inputting this data, but I know it's something with the new thing we're moving to, it might be a little bit more accurate. Because I know Deb puts in the rosters at the beginning of the year, but maybe some kids drop off and things like that. But for the most part, this is the data we have, and it's fantastic. You know, we had 217 students participate in activity, and then we had 304 this last year, which is great. And as we all know, more involvement in activities, the more you're involved and you're more invested in your academics and things. So that's really great. It could be also a larger freshman class. We had a huge jump in there. So that could be something. And also, I think we're doing a great job of awareness of activities, and coaches and sponsors do a great job promoting their sports. Looking at just student involvement of those students, say 70 students that aren't involved in anything. I want to take that at the beginning of fall and kind of interview some of them, just talk about what they want to get interested in. That's what kind of prompted the invention of the esports team, is the creation of that. So there's opportunities, I think, for us to look into other groups or activities that students who aren't involved can get involved with, or it may just be a matter of they just don't know what's out there. And so it's just getting that. And so on back to school night, we'll have all the groups and stuff in common. So we have people can talk to those groups and find out more information. And then I talked with Adam about, I know we talked about last year's high school students getting free for winter sports. It's always our lowest attendance and things. I know that's still in discussion. And then doing a little bit better with the coach retention and filling those. So things are looking up in our activities area as far as equity. As I said in my beginning statement here, we will look at course enrollment in the fall when we have both the state data for 23-24. But I did, like, in retrospect, like, see the I created the grade data with all what they got at A, B's, and C's, and we can use that also. And it'd probably be a heck of a lot more accurate than the state data, and we can go through each course individually, look at who's getting A's. I mean, we can really dive in as a BLT. And so I'm really excited for that opportunity to kind of see where we can see growth in 23-24, where we can just use the database I created with the grades and things. And so I'm looking excited for that. And then if you had an opportunity, I broke down middle school and high school attendance database to look at where we might see some discrepancies in attendance. For the most part, middle school absent excuse was 75% Hispanic, and then at the high school, the first period was 72.4 Hispanic. And so I think where we can grow in that area is communicating with all community members about the importance of attendance being in school. I'm excited. I created some more data on those students who miss more than 10, what their GPA is. So there's a lot of great data in that to show the importance of being in school, and I'm excited to share that with possibly the newspaper and things and get that message out to the community. Also, sometimes it's just informing the parents of the procedures to call in excuse. Sometimes they forget to call, and so also making sure that they make our office staff aware that if a student is absent, that they call in. And then we're currently in the process with the Help and Care is doing an excellent job with this. It's kind of looking at our school codes that we use for absences. It's been sporadic, so I'd like to get us to all of our schools use the same codes. I think that would be great for all the parents to understand what AE means. So I have an example right there. High school use OT for out of town, middle school use vacation, and then elementary use OOT, which out of town. So all these different codes are in our system. And so streamlining that to just one universal codes for all buildings will help, I think, make just parents and people aware what the code is and what the reason for being absent.
So if all the codes are different, how does that work in Infant Campus if all the codes are different?
So every building can have their own set codes. And I'm just, by making this database, we've kind of found out that this was, because every building has siloed kind of how they run things. But this kind of opened the door to the idea that we need to kind of come some universal ones.
So was it reflective in Infinite Campus then? Like, because if you had two different kids in different buildings, it didn't show up differently on Infinite Campus. They would just been absent, like it would have been labeled differently or something?
Yeah, and that's why we need to streamline a little bit better, because for interpretation for parents and just for us running data and things. Because if you clicked on any of those databases, you could kind of see, like, I think the middle school, or not middle school, the elementary uses AEM, which is absent excused, message to mom, or it just it's something we just need to clean up, I think, as a school district.
And in the background, those codes link to the specific codes the state looks for too. So they have their own coding for the state that each one of those uses. in the background on Infinite Campus.
So it's not necessarily universal, like people just type it in stuff. It's like a scroll down menu and they just click which one applies to the situation. So, but certainly it's something that we're excited to, and with the new office staffs in every building, I don't think it's gonna be too much of an issue just to make that change.
Right.
And then, this is a data point. Again, this is, the attendance and the grade stuff is something new this year that I've put together to kind of look more in depth as opposed to just what the state provides. And so, one of the discrepancies I found was 70.1% of our D+, D minus and Fs are Hispanic, which I think is, could be attributed also to just the absenteeism a little bit as well, as the data shows. So what I want to do is with our BLT is also analyze students in this category and cross-reference with attendance, as I said, and then review resources available to students with Ds and Fs and inform parents. We have the after-school program on Mondays and Thursdays that are offered to students that has been doing pretty well, and then also incorporating our at-risk resources to all those students.
When you click this one, what you should see are grades.
Yeah.
Okay, so I clicked it and I saw attendance.
Oh, maybe I gotta switch the.
Yeah, maybe
I will do
you
that.
could
Yeah,
update Yeah,
I can do that.
I'd like to see the grades.
Yeah, I'll send it out to you. And then, so again, its goals for this year: review student enrollment in high school courses for the fall of 24. Create those universal codes. Share databases with all district staff to review. So I'm going to share these on a more consistent basis. The attendance ones I'm going to make for every building so that they can get updated every week, so they can kind of track their attendance. And then meet the building BLTs on equity data review on a trimester basis, so they can kind of look at those things. Is there any additional comments, questions?
A lot of data.
Got it.
It's pretty cool. You know, when you see because you all show it differently, but it's always challenging.
Yeah.
With that many numbers.
Yeah, and the Looker Studio, the program that it's free, the thing that I make those things with, and it's really handy. I find it very helpful to, because you can really dive in like 8th graders of one of the males and see where they line up and things like that. So it's very, very useful. Got it from the AA, so.
And I think finding the mechanism to kind of get it to those specific groups that need the focus, maybe we can work on that. That'd be great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You like numbers.
I do, yeah, I do really enjoy the data breakdown, so.
She's important.
Real
I guess.
great.
Yeah, I'll switch that link right now, so if you want.
Yeah,
I'll check that out there.
yeah, thank you.
And then the annual review of student organizations for board policy. List of students clubs are in the pack. So that was the one I kind of did have some questions about. I downloaded the list and I thought we were going to put maybe next to them who was the leaders or the contact person at one time on the website.
We do have that on the website.
On the website we do.
Yes, yeah, we have the organizations and who the leaders are. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick here.
Yeah, because some of them are ran by students, right? And some of them aren't ran even by staff that are our staff.
Yeah, but there is always a staff member in the room.
Oh, school district staff is always in the room,
Yeah.
even if the students are running it.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yes. And that might be myself and Brenda, or there's a collection of about 4 or 5 teachers that are all available to be in the room, yeah. So even though it says student ran, there's always a supervision of somebody in the room.
And those would be like chess club,
Yep,
probably the drama. I was trying to figure out which ones they were.
So like, for example, the art club, when we click
Yeah.
on it, it tells you art club sponsor is Morgan Forbes, and then it gives information about the club itself.
And that's the,
Yeah, band and concert band, drama, Future Business Leaders of America. CCR.
you're showing the handbook here, is that?
This is on the website.
So it's on the website underneath the.
Parents and
clubs.
students, yep, it's under the parents and students heading, and then it's called student clubs and organizations, so right here.
So this is like an abbreviated list with some comments like for the mariachi.
Well, Mariachi is now done by the,
I know, that's what I just said.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a comment on that,
mm,
but it's not including his website.
no, that's a city, dang it.
Got it.
And so IJAC's considered like a club organization instead of. like
It is a class, yeah, I think it's something, it kind of falls in both ways,
Okay.
yeah. Like, I think we like to classify it as something students can look into and then take the class.
Okay,
And so not necessarily something that's after school. or-
right,
or something.
okay.
Some of these, the teachers will receive stipends for, right? And then some of them, they're not stipend oriented.
Yeah, like the one, say for example, the GSA where there's like a bunch of just, like you said, student ran,
Yeah,
then that's kind of just based on, somebody in the room at that
Yeah.
time.
but then like National Honor Society has a stipend for the
Yes.
students, for the teachers that do that one. And is that based on like attendance or how many students, or how is it determined? Or is like there's money set aside and that's how they get a stipend, or?
I think for like, so for example, our esports team right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you start a group like the esports, like Mr. Friend is kind of like the sponsor, the person there.
Yeah,
But he's kind of getting off the ground, so we don't necessarily have a stipend right now for Mr. Friends, but as that group kind of grows, then we'll look into that next process. And that's to, in my opinion, just to prevent from like somebody starting a group, getting a stipend, and then that group kind of disintegrates and like, so.
Some of those groups do fundraising to support their organization as well.
And then we have the Future Educators Program. That's a new one for this upcoming year, which I'm pretty excited about. It's the opportunity for 11th and 12th graders interested in the teaching profession to work with our elementary group to kind of sit in and watch and get a feel for what a classroom is. And so that's always it's kind of like a field experience class to see if that's something they want to go into. And that's sponsored through a grant through the University of Iowa. University of Iowa will be doing a lot of facilitation with the students and talking with them. So I think that's a great partnership for our future teachers and educators.
I don't see silver.
On the website list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Silver Court's kind of an interesting one because it's not necessarily like a group necessarily.
right.
Maybe perhaps it shouldn't be on the activities list because it's not necessarily a meeting sort of thing. It's more of just a program where students can individually kind of pursue volunteer opportunities and get Silver Cord. And then they would turn it into Veronica, or not Veronica now, but
Abby.
Abby, yes, Abby who's in charge of our Silver Cord program. So
So would the website be the more accurate one, or the website the most accurate then?
Your list, I believe, is the most accurate because it would have been just submitted for your meeting. Whereas the
Oh,
website list is the one that lists like the instructors and that kind of thing. So if
Okay, and
you're
then
looking
eventually
for
these
that-
are merged.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we approve this tonight, then you're gonna merge them together onto here.
Yeah, we'll get everything updated. We try and update that website list yearly anyway, because sometimes those leaders of those clubs change from year to year. So. Some of those updates may not happen until closer to the school year because of that,
Did you wanna know who the person will be?
right?
And it probably won't indicate the students, right? Or will it indicate the students who are in charge? I would assume not, right?
No.
Right, do you guys have any questions or? Any more questions about the group? Did it have the?
Are we voting on this? Okay,
No.
It's just a review.
yeah.
Any other questions? Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
All right, and then we move on to second reading of board policies 800 to 802.8.
These are in your board packet. Let me know if you want me to pull them up on the screen. I can.
I think the treasury and then like ones that you and Abby worked on, right?
Right. This group has a lot to do with, you know, the budget and financials and
That we're trusting you guys with. Any questions or? Do I want to make a motion? Anyone? Make a motion?
Second reading.
I'll second.
And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. And then the consent agenda. And the minutes. Warrants. Transfers, new
We
hires.
got that sheet in there, your packet on the transfers.
Amended one of the new hires. All right, so any questions on any of it? I'll make a motion, so I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda. I'll make a motion. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Is that it? And then future items will be, our next board meeting is Monday, I wish, Monday, July 15th at 6 p.m. We'll have the consent agenda for review and set with legislative priorities and the superintendent report. And then now we'll move to closed session as of code 221.5 to evaluate professional evaluation, who is appointed, higher performance is disclosed to being considered when necessary to prevent needless impurity or injury to that individual reputation or and individual request a closed session. So.
I'll move that we go into closed session under 21.51I.
I'll second.
All right, so we'll move into closed session at 6:50.